Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair, and it's time for Attack of the Clowns. Clones! Attack of the Clones. Killer clones from outer space. Episode 2, otherwise known as the 5th theatrical release of the Star Wars franchise, Attack of the Clones is the second film of the prequel trilogy. As such, it continues to set up the events leading up to the big main trilogy, while continuing the tale established in Episode 1. Anakin is a Padawan, Obi-Wan is his Jedi Master, and suddenly a bunch of clones show up and start attacking people. I guess it might need a little more explanation as to how exactly it got from point A to point B in that one. Or you don't. I mean, the movie's just called Attack of the Clones, and Obi-Wan did say that Luke's father fought in the Clone Wars, so... The reasoning for how, of course, involves a lot of politics and slow explanations, but not nearly as much as in the previous films, as this time the adventure takes place over more planets, most of which have things that require killing, blowing up, or otherwise making it no longer move in one way or another. Space fantasy action adventure, you know, the basic description of the genre. So, anyway, let's take a look at Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and at least give me a chance to describe the explosions. As we all fucking know by now, the tale begins with the obligatory text scroll. Seems the Republic is in crisis as many alliances have pledged to leave the Republic, in a sort of gala exit or the like. Also, it seems Amidala is no longer the queen because monarchies have term limits now. No bother, now she's a senator and has returned to Coruscant to vote on the ever-important idea of the Republic maybe actually getting an army to help keep the peace. Which they didn't have yet because, you know, everything was just always so peaceful in the goddamn Star Wars franchise. Don't worry though, remember the awkwardly established body double from Episode 1? Well, there's actually a reason for her to exist here. To die! No bother, the Reggie Fils-Aimé looking motherfucker here, Captain Typho, played by Jay Lagaaya, Jay ushers Padme to safety, where we see Chancellor Palpatine is so very concerned for her safety, he decides she should have some extra bodyguards, just in case.
Perhaps someone you're familiar with. An old friend, like Master Kenobi.
Maybe Captain Panaka? Guy from Episode 1? Was there for most of the important scenes with Padme? I mean, sure, the actor refused to come back for Episode 2 after Lucas told him that he wasn't allowed to see the entire script before signing the contract, but that shouldn't stop things. Nevertheless, this summons Obi-Wan to the fray, along with his Padawan of 10 years, the now grown-up Anakin Skywalker, played by Hayden Christensen.
Annie? My goodness, you've grown.
Well, he was 8 years younger than you in the first movie, and now he's only 2 months younger than you. That's a hell of a way to catch up. Anakin wastes no time uncomfortably fawning over the woman, until finally she leaves, and the only one the young Padawan can confide in is that fucknugget Jar Jar Binks.
She's forgotten me completely.
She's a happy.
You're not making it any better, Jar Jar. Oh, he meant that she's happier than ever now that he's here. Considering her appearance of apathy, that just leaves me wondering how horrifyingly depressed she was over the last 10 years, but either way, the bodyguards prove to be more than important, as Padme is in so much danger, a bounty hunter shows up to hire another bounty hunter to kill her. By loading an attack animal into a droid so that that can go off and deposit it and attack actually going. Could these fuckers stop playing pass the buck and just whack the bitch already? The droid cuts through the window and deposits several slithering nightmares to poison the lady in her sleep. Except, of course, there's that small detail that she has Jedi bodyguards and Grey conning mobs ain't shit. Now just to... A fucking piece of shit left Joy-Con, I was just trying to go in for a closer look! So while Obi-Wan droid glides while breathing wildly, Anakin decides to switch things up with a little Grand Theft speeder. Thus we get a visual effects extravaganza chase scene. One that might look a tad familiar to you for a couple of reasons.
What took us so long? Oh, you know, Master. I couldn't find a speeder that I really liked.
Eventually I settled on the yellow one because if you're gonna rip a scene off of The Fifth Element, you might as well be as shameless about it as possible. In any case, the chaos continues for a while, going through as many super urban future city at night scenes they can squeeze in, before eventually Anakin just jumps the fuck down doing some force shit that allows him to land right on the bounty hunter's speeder. And she happens to be a changeling. It doesn't change fucking anything about this scene, but hey, facial morphs. It's actually so unimportant as to what's going on, I thought they added it in post for no reason at first. But then when the Jedi regroup and corner her in a bar, we get this line.
Can you see him?
I think he is a she. And I think she's a changeling.
So I guess they planned all along for that aspect of her character to have no bearing on the plot whatsoever. With that, they enter the bar to track their prey, by standing around, looking suspicious, and waiting for her to come up and try to kill them. I mean, sure, they could have just cornered her and subdued her without anyone having to lose any limbs, but you're in a bar in a Star Wars movie. Someone's got to have their hand cut off. It's tradition. But it's not like this helps much anyway, because when they ask her who she's working for...
It was a bounty hunter called...
Look, Master Kenobi, there he goes, the dreaded bounty hunter! Ah!
Toxic dart.
Thank you, Cole Phelps. Having bodyguards for Senator Amidala is one thing, but actually needing them? Well, that changes everything. Thus, it's decided that Padme is going to go into hiding temporarily, with Anakin as her personal guard. Also, she needs someone to govern in her stead.
It will be your responsibility to take my place in the Senate. Representative Binks?
Okay, I'm having a slightly easier time believing that people in this universe vote in their queens, rather than anyone having voted that Gungan to represent anything but bad decisions. So Anakin and Padme are off to Naboo to engage in awkward visual novel conversations for an hour or so, while Obi-Wan stays behind and tries to figure out exactly what shady business is going on in this movie. What better place to start investigating than the local roadside diner? I mean the local sci-fi futuristic roadside diner with a droid waitress and alien chef.
Can you tell me where it came from? Thank you.
This baby belongs to them cloners. What you got here is a Camino saber dart.
This is an awfully convenient way to point him in the right direction, especially considering that the bounty hunter that shot the other bounty hunter with said dart was not even of said species to have been using that dart in the first place. Of course, there's also a slight problem when, even after getting the planetary system and coordinates from the streetwise spaceman, the planet cannot be found in the Jedi records, and the librarian on duty doesn't appreciate Obi-Wan questioning the narrative.
If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
It's funny you should mention that, because I also couldn't find any records whatsoever about your sex life. Ah! Not satisfied with this, Obi-Wan resorts to asking the younglings for help, pointing out that the coordinates he was given show no planetary system at all, but strangely, the surrounding stars still seem affected by a gravity field there. The kids point out someone deleted the record, stupid, there's a planet there. What, do you think 5-year-olds sit around thinking about dark matter? With that, he does the first thing he should have done, and just goes to the fucking coordinates the diner alien gave him 3 scenes ago. A strange water planet in the darkest reaches of space.
Master Jedi, the Prime Minister is expecting you.
I'm expected?
Of course.
You are here about the septic tank problem, yes? The plumbing on this planet is so extreme it does need Jedi attention. Rather, they've been working for the Jedi Council for a certain Jedi who made a deal with them 10 years ago, then died about 9 years 11 months ago. No bother, the order was taking this long to fill anyway.
He would have been proud of the army we've built for him.
The army?
Yes, a clone army.
Well, the Republic's been needing an army, the aliens here are revered for their cloning technology, and oh yeah, the fucking movie's called Attack of the Clones. Obi-Wan's tour of the galaxy's largest fertilization plant will have to wait, though. We gotta go back to Naboo so that Anakin can make awkward conversations with Padme.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating.
Great. Now there's gonna be arguments 20 years from now as to whether or not it's I don't like sand or I hate sand. Also, you were born on Tatooine. Shouldn't you just be indifferent about sand? I mean, my childhood wasn't the greatest, but I don't hate snow for it. I just think it's funny the one time it snowed down here, everyone freaked out about it. But they finally see they truly love each other and give in to the... or not. I guess the movie isn't even half over, so I gotta save that part. Anyway, we see the secret to cloning a massive army is because abso-fucking-lutely everyone wearing the clone trooper armor is CGI. Because fuck paying extras, I guess. Obi-Wan, however, is interested in finding the host sample for the clones, Jango Fett, played by Tamura Morrison.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.
Ever made your way as far into the interior as Coruscant?
Once or twice.
Recently?
Dude, your one piece of evidence points to the people of this planet. which he's not a member of the species of, unless you count the clone army. But either way, Coruscant is like the big, massive capital of the universe here. How incriminating is it to have happened to stop there for a burger? Obi-Wan's still playing it coy, though, and leaves it at that. However, Django doesn't trust this is the end of it, and tells his pure clone son, brother, self thing, Boba, played by Daniel Logan, to pack up and get ready for a road trip. First, though, Obi-Wan has to relay the plot back to the Council.
Do you think these cloners are involved in the plot to assassinate Senator Amidala?
No, Master, there appears to be no motive.
But to be honest, Master, who fucking cares? The whole planet's made of water. It's cool as shit. On the other plot that's a bit easier to follow, Anakin has a nightmare about his mother dying in pain on Tatooine. Yeah, he left her ass alone as a slave on that rock for a decade, but that funny dream, it's time to pack up and head home at once!
I have to help her.
I'll go with you.
Just like that. Yeah, my mom's in trouble, I gotta go save her. That makes sense to me, but at the same time, they've established that he never went back to even see her, without establishing any good fucking reason why. And yeah, she's a slave, but she's a slave with a home address, who you could probably have easily afforded to free several times over by now in this fucking decade, and you just didn't. I mean, don't fucking pretend like you give a shit about her now. But if we don't have at least 12 things going on at once, the audience's ADD will kick in and I'll get bored, so Obi-Wan tries to catch Jango Fett, only to get his ass kicked and watch the bounty hunter fly away. Oh, but then we're back to Tatooine, so Anakin can find out that Watto sold his mother off some time ago to a moisture farmer. Okay, that's getting boring, so it's back to the high-speed space chase between Obi-Wan and Jango, flying into an asteroid field, because fuck it, it's not like there's any annoying droids here to complain about it.
Well, we won't be seeing him again.
Did they honestly expect that to fake out anyone? The man's clearly alive in Episode 4. Well, part of it. No surprise, he's not dead, but that means this scene is boring, so it's back to Tatooine, so Anakin can find out that the moisture farmer his mother was sold to actually married her, and they were living happily together. Well, until a small band of Tusken Raiders sacked their farm and kidnapped the woman, but every relationship has its rough spots. Not satisfied, Anakin swoops in to save the day, which someone in the editing room must have thought was boring because it's back to Obi-Wan, having followed Jango onto the planet near the asteroids and tripping across a meeting with the Legion of Doom.
The Techno-Union Army is at your disposal, Count.
Part of me wishes a Techno-Army showed up with glow sticks and ecstasy. This collection of evil traitors to the Republic is gathered around Count Dooku, played by the legendary Christopher Lee, which is far too boring, so let's jump right the fuck back to Anakin, now at the Sand People's village, saving his mother from captivity. And she withstood starvation, torture, dehydration, and God knows what else, only to die from being rescued. Oh well, I guess there's nothing left to do but pack your bags and... fucking slaughter the entire village. Ah, hell, I ain't gonna complain about this, the body count rises. Again, though, the editor thinks mass murder isn't very exciting. Or maybe it's against the community guidelines, whatever. The point is the scene immediately changes to Yoda and Samuel L. Jackson talking about how uncomfortable this slaughter feels in the Force. By the time we get back, all that's left to do is bury the bodies, and give Anakin a chance to explain why he killed every last living creature in a 5-mile radius.
I hate them!
As a means to insert the Imperial March. Not sure if I should be happy that I really like that music, or lament the fact that Empire was a much more entertaining movie overall. No time to get too emotional, though. Anakin's got a conference call with Obi-Wan, along with the Jedi Council, on an emergency matter.
The Commerce Guilds and the Corporate Alliance have both pledged their armies to Count Dooku and are forming a... Wait.
Fuck the spinny bitches, the Jedi's one weakness. This is enough to get Amidala to decide that she's gonna go rescue Obi-Wan, and Anakin can come along if he likes. They don't have to worry too much, though. The man's been captured, but is reasonably safe. The only threat here is that Ewan McGregor is being tortured by Christopher Lee, upstaging him constantly.
Qui-Gon Jinn would never join you.
Don't be so sure, my young Jedi.
Remember, I was the Hammer Dracula for many years. Before we get much further, though, the plot to overthrow the Republic is revealed to the Senate, and the standing representative, Jar Jar Fuckwagon, does something about it.
Misa propose that the Senate give immediately emergency powers to the Supreme Chancellor.
So how does a Republic become an empire with an emperor? Jar Jar. Like the character or not, it's canon that he is responsible for countless innocent lives. No Jar Jar, no Empire. No Empire, no Death Star. No Death Star, oh, look at that! Alderaan still exists.
Misa back.
After Jar Jar is done fucking up the entire galaxy, we see Anakin and Padme arriving to save the day. Badly, as they pretty much immediately are surrounded by bug things that are aliens. Thus we get the big action scene in the droid factory, where the heroes have to battle not only the forces against them, but their own stupidity. No, you're supposed to freeze the characters in carbonite, not smelt them. Turns out this is just assholic editing on the filmmaker's part anyway, as the molten metal pouring into the pot was actually not the same pot as Padme was in. That way she can survive, only to be captured by bug aliens, while Anakin is held up by Jango, and those fucking rolling droids that the Jedi just can't fight. That means there's 3 people set to be executed in the Colosseum instead of just 1.
We decided to come and rescue you.
Good job.
Wait till you see him try to bring balance to the Force. The method of execution is to bring 3 creatures to kill the prisoners while the aliens watch from the stands. But of course, this is only super high-tech out of space with magical powers. They can't be expected to make properly working chains for these kind of situations, and killing these 3 proves to be more difficult than anticipated, especially when this happens.
Master Windu, how pleasant of you to join us.
I'm tired of these motherfucking Sith in this motherfucking galaxy! The rest of the Jedi finally arrive on that mission to rescue Obi-Wan, and a battle breaks out. Which kind of brings into question that whole plot-driving concept that the Jedi won't be capable of fighting off a droid army because, well, from the looks of it, the Jedi are doing fine. I mean, yeah, they suffer 1 casualty, but they're still kicking robot ass all over the place. Samuel L. Jackson even kills Jango Fett just like that. However, that doesn't matter. Plot-wise, there's no way they can win, so they stop to listen to Christopher Lee monologue about that for a bit before getting ready to be executed for no apparent reason. But then...
Look!
While the Jedi Council had no idea a clone army was being created for the Republic for the last 10 years, boy is it convenient now, no reason to question it. Which kicks the big spectacle battle into high gear, which is impressive enough in terms of scope and quantity of explosions, but the fact that every single clone trooper is CGI does detract from it, in my opinion. You can't get much more real looking than real people, and you'd think it'd be simple enough to hire extras and put the budget into the wardrobe instead of just using a computer, but fuck it, this movie is Attack of Control-V after all. The point is the clones quickly crush the droids, and it's down to duels of the important characters, Obi-Wan and Dooku. Oh. Well, no bother, there's always Anakin, an unstoppable force of ass-kicking badassness, born of midi-chlorias and ready to kick all of them! Or you could just fall asleep after losing a limb. Never thought that would be so relaxing. But what's this? There's Master Yoda, the most powerful Jedi on the Council, here to save the day with some good old-fashioned ass-kicking. This is not exactly a fair fight. I know well enough after fighting the fucking dog in Tekken, I think, and the fucking chicken in Eternal Champions, that these little characters are a bitch to deal with. Realizing he can't win against such a cheap opponent, Count Dooku just distracts Yoda long enough so that he can escape, and everyone can get together in the end mostly safe and sound. Sure, Yoda's not happy because the galaxy's been plunged into war, but fuck that, that's not important. Anakin and Padme are back on Naboo, and she takes his cold, barely functional metal hand in marriage. So, happy-ish ending. Everything's screwed, Palpatine confides in Dooku that everything's going according to plan, and countless people are going to die, but Hey, and he got his rocks off. So, that was Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. And it's better than Episode 1, but... While Episode 1 had slow political speech after slow political speech for things that hardly seemed important, Episode 2 perhaps overcorrects this by having action scene after action scene and pushing important plot points forward without taking too much time to explain them. Despite this, it is the longest movie in the Star Wars franchise thus far, and when it was close to release and the final edits were taking place, more action scenes are what we got rather than exposition. It works to keep the movie entertaining, but at times it can be confusing as to just how the hell we got into the awesome action scene we're in. Yoda went from barely learning that a clone army had been built in secret over the last 10 years to commanding them in battle. Dooku also had plans for the Death Star, which is really jumping the gun in my opinion. I know you gotta plan ahead with these things, but they got those blueprints together well before Palpatine ever attained Emperor status. Most of all, Attack of the Clones felt like a cheesy action movie that occasionally liked to pretend that it was something more. You had plot and intrigue spanning a decade worth of events to uncover, but most all of it was obviously just an excuse to throw lasers at each other, and when that started it dropped any idea there was any nuance to what we were witnessing. Explosions are cool, so let's blow some shit up. Overall, Star Wars Attack of the Clones is an entertaining movie, which does a better job at bridging the gap between the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy than the first, but the vast majority of the experience is eye-candy popcorn entertainment. That's fun and all, but it does mean that at the end of the day, for all the sparks and high-speed chases through asteroid fields, the whole thing just doesn't feel as significant as a Star Wars movie should, coming in at 3 duels to the death with Dooku out of 5. It's better than I remembered it, but that's probably because, as entertaining as it can be, it is still pretty forgettable. Thank you all for watching. I've been Dr. Shado, and remember, Control V your way to victory!
You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.